Finally, it's here. It's Thursday. We're a week away from the NFL season. The college football season starts today, and it's the NFL Presidential Address, the most watched show in its space on YouTube. And we got Kelly Stewart with us, baby. How has your summer been?
Prez, it's so crazy. It has been like 6 months since I've got to do a video with you, if not longer, like at least 200 some days. I'm so excited to be back. I didn't have much of a summer. I have been being pulled in 1,000 different directions trying to figure out my next career move. But bottom line is I'm here to stay on the Presidential Address.
And that's very important. And you're on Bleacher Report now, Kel. We're just small time for you.
Bleacher Report's really exciting. They have me doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I got paid to play Madden the other day, so that's always fun. And now tonight, I'm going to be down at Caesars just hanging out, screaming about UCLA.
Guys, here's what's going down on the NFL Presidential Address. This week, we've split the show into three segments. We're going division by division, where both Kelly and I will talk to you about some futures bets in each division. We're going to talk a little bit about the conference winners and the odds on that for the futures. And then the most important part of the show, which is the third part, Kelly. And I think a part that really is absolute must listen to for everybody. And that is how we're going to attack each team from a betting perspective. Because for me, I'm not really about trends and statistics. Gianni and Marco will be doing a show with you every week, their NFL show. It's called Bet On It, and I'm excited about it. And I think it really, it sits well with me because their show is going to be very stats-oriented, systems and trends. A perfect show if you're tired late at night, struggling to fall asleep. And then there's us, baby. We're the seeing eye test. I am not going to spend much time this year going through how many times a road favorite has covered in the spot that it's in, traveling 3 kilometers east, 10 kilometers west. I don't really care about that stuff. I study the teams the way they are. I study the teams the way they're going into the season with their current roster. I spend a lot of time studying drive charts, understanding the flow of the game for each team, recognizing which coaches are better than which. And I really handicap from that perspective. So yeah, if you guys want like hardcore trends and statistics, Kelly's hosting a show with Marco and VR called Bet On It. If you want to have some fun, hear how to bet these games from a layman perspective, if you will, it's our show, Kel and Kel. It took about 10 minutes to get you centered in the frame so our listeners can see, well, a little more of you, if you will.
You're so funny. It is Casual Thursday here in Las Vegas. I'm going to the gym after this, so I just wore a tank top.
Yeah, I was going to wear a tank top, and I also spent a little time doing my hair, and I was looking in the mirror thinking to myself, I don't think anyone cares.
They may not care. I don't know, Prez. Listen, I made a joke last night with Johnny in Detroit, and he said something funny, and I go, listen, people love Prez, people hate Prez. I go, as long as they're watching, Prez doesn't care.
Well, that's true. And some guy yesterday on First Pitch typed in, the Prez makes me want to drown myself. You know what my response was? Holy crap, do I have a lot of power over this guy. To think that my voice can elicit such an emotion, I take it as a compliment, Kel. Okay, so bottom line, we're going to get into the show right away. We're going to go through three different chapters, if you will. Between each, we're going to do a commercial break. But let's start division by division. Who we think is the bets to make as we move forward. And also, Kel, we're going to try do this show live starting next week. We should be taping on Tuesdays. I'm waiting for confirmation from you because you're a big celebrity now, and everything the Prez has to do works around your schedule. But we're going to try to do this live. So we'll tweet out. Everybody follow us. My Twitter is @Prez Wager Talk. Kelly's Twitter, give it out yourself.
@Kelly in Vegas.
And we'll tweet out the time so you guys could speak to us during the show. Kel, a bet on it with Marco and VR and you. Do you know that Marco said that the odds in Vegas that his show outdoes our show is -190? I would like to make a wager on that at +170.
Did he tell you? Did he tell you what Teddy
What
made
did
the
Teddy
line?
make the line at?
So we're leaving the Wager Talk studios the other day, and Marco says, "Hey, Teddy, make a line." And Teddy thinks about it for a minute, and he goes, "Prez minus." Marco about lost it.
That's my boy, Theodore Covers. You can find him at wagertalkandsportsmemo.com. And Kelly, he killed it in NFL football last year.
Yes,
Let's get right to it. We'll do 4 divisions, and then we'll take a quick commercial break. I hand the show over to you.
All right, so this is, like you mentioned, we're going to do 3 different segments here. We're going to do division by division, team bets to win the division and win-loss record, and then we're going to do conference winners, and then how the Prez dissects each team. So let's start with the AFC East. Prez, obviously the Pats, the big favorite here to win the AFC East. There's zero value. I know that word gets beat to death in our industry, but let's just be honest. Do you think they're going to win over 11.5 games, though?
You know, Kel, let's start with the zero value. We go back 30 years ago when Muhammad Ali was in his prime. Maybe it was 40 years ago. He was like -1,200 against everybody, and he beat everybody. And everybody who laid -1,200 won. So, you know, the new approach to betting is to stay away from these big numbers, -500 or so. By the way, we're using all our lines from Bet365. Obviously,
yes, because Prez is a Canadian, so we're not using Vegas lines.
No, we're not. But let's be honest here, Kel. Pats have been -500, -800, -900 for about 20 years now, and well, they've covered every one of those. I think this line actually is quite short. I don't see how the Pats will not win that division unless Tom Brady gets injured. But they've got a new offense. Their offensive line is incredibly strong. Their backfield is deep as hell. And this is probably one of the best defenses Bill Belichick has coached in a while. Yeah, I think Pats -500 is actually quite good value, Kel. I think, you know, are they going to win in this spot? 5 out of 6 times or whatever it might be. They're going to win 10 out of 10 times. So -500 seems like a good bet to me. I do not like the over and under on 11.5. I think that line is absolutely perfect. Do you have the guts to bet the Pats -500?
No, absolutely not, Prez. I like the plus symbols in front of my money usually.
That you do.
I do like this under here, though. Listen, there was a couple of key times last year, especially on the road, laying points against the Pats. I think they're going to win 10 games this year. Do I think they're going to win this division? Yes, I do. But I don't want to lock up $500 of my money for $100 for an entire football season. But I like the under here.
500, Kelly. You're on Bleacher Report. You run a proxy service. You work for Wager Talk. $500,000 to win $100,000 sounds like a nice chunk of change to me.
Prez thinks I'm rich now.
Kel, listen, I lean on under in the Pats as well, and I think they will lose a couple of division games. I think the Jets are going to beat them maybe when they play at home, and I think Buffalo is a pretty good team, quite underrated going into the season. The only bet that I'm actually making, though, in the AFC East is Miami under 5.5 games at +140. I think this team's going to struggle to win 2, Kelly. I think the Bills, Jets, and Patriots are all way better than them. I could see them getting swept in the division, and I really struggle to find spots where they can win 5 games. Under 5.5 to the plus money is where I'm going in the AFC East.
Yeah, Prez, I don't blame you on the Dolphins at all. I did personally play the Jets under 7.5. I think this Jets team's getting a little overhyped with Le'Veon Bell. I think Darnold probably still needs another year. And I just don't see this team winning 7 games. So I took the under 7.5 here in Vegas. I know it's 6.5 there, minus 185 at Bet Online or at Bet 360.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch the Jets under or over. AFC North, Kel. Every team is a plus team, and this division is. I mean, it's you literally have 3 teams in this division that can win this division, which is why I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens at plus 260. I'm only going to put a half a unit on that bet, but you know, I feel like Pittsburgh has regressed. I feel like Cleveland culturally has not won in a million years, and although there's a ton of hype and they are loaded for this coming football season, I think they're probably a year away from really laying the smackdown. So I actually like Baltimore at plus 260. I am making 2 win-loss records, 2 win-loss bets, but what's your opinion on that?
You know, I agree with everything you just said with Cleveland. I actually don't even think that they're going to win 9.5 games, which is what you have here from 365. I like Pittsburgh in this division. They're kind of my team out of the AFC, I think, who's going to be in the Super Bowl. I think that the locker room, not to mention when you lose the either Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, however you want to look at it, other people are going to really start to progress there. I think Big Ben's going to be playing with the chip on his shoulder. I really am expecting a lot out of Juju Smith-Schuster. But I agree with Baltimore. I think Baltimore has a chance to do it as well. And I'd like to hear why you like their season win total over.
Yeah, I like Baltimore over 8.5 at minus 105. And the reason is simple. Cleveland's over and under is 9.5, and Pittsburgh over and under is 9.5. And I think Baltimore is as good as those 2 teams, and I'm getting a full game of value here. I am actually going to bet Baltimore over 1.5, and I'm high on Baltimore on the entire season, which we will discuss in the 3rd section of this show. Another bet I'm making, and I'm making this bet literally twice as big as the Baltimore bet, is Cincinnati under 6.5 plus 140. Obviously, we have a team in rebuild mode. And look, this team has weapons. Tyler Boyd, A.J. Green at wide receiver. They've got a decent tight end. Andy Dalton on any given day can play lights out. And like Ben Roethlisberger, can on any given day cannot show up to the stadium. I think they're going to struggle. I think they might win 1 game inside of their division. They have a new head coach, as we know. And I think this is just literally a rebuilding year all around. If Miami is 5.5 and Cincinnati is 6.5, I think those 2 teams plus maybe Arizona are going to struggle for the worst record in the league. I can't find 6 wins for them.
You know, looking at their schedule right now, I can't find 6 wins for them either, but I do think that they're going to be undervalued in the marketplace. And I already played them plus 9.5 week 1 versus Seattle. I think this is a Cincinnati team, as you mentioned, still has weapons. And I do think that they're going to be in several of those games. But yeah, it's really hard for me to find 6 wins on their schedule.
Okay, AFC South, Kel. Indianapolis,
crazy.
Andrew Luck changed everything.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Indy was the favorite in the AFC South. Made sense. That was just nuts. What did you think about that?
You know, in all seriousness, and I recall a couple of years ago, a linebacker for the San Francisco Giants, rookie season, unbelievable. I mean, literally on his way to maybe a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame career. I cannot remember his name. And he retired after the first year. And you know what, Kel? Kudos to Andrew Luck. Like, honestly, you go and you make yourself $50 million. I think he's pocketed $49 million to date. And he wants to keep his health. The guy's in a ton of pain. Football is just not important enough to screw with your health. He's in his late 20s. He's got a family. He's got a life ahead of him. I think it shows great moxie, really, to be honest with you. I give Andrew Luck a ton of credit for this move, and it's a shame. We saw how incredible he was last year. We got glimpses of the Andrew Luck of old. And I think Indianapolis, with their O-line, with their running game, with their wide receiving game, with their defense front seven, they got a decent cover game. I think this team was primed for a Super Bowl run, and now I think they are going to struggle. But, I'm only making 2 bets in this in the AFC South. I really like Houston here, Kel. I'm only making a half unit play at plus 130 to win the division. I think this Houston team is nasty. I think Deshaun Watson is going to have an outstanding year. They got the best wide receiver in football. I think with Will Fuller back and playing in the slot, I think DeAndre Hopkins is even going to have a bigger year. They've got a good tight end. Even with Lamar Miller out, I think this team is going to have no problem running the ball. And with Clowney out or playing in South Korea, I think the defense is going to be just fine. They got great edge rushers. They've got good middle linebackers. I think Houston is going to be tough to beat. And I'm also taking over 8.5. Kel, Houston over 8.5 minus 140. Jacksonville over 8.5 plus 120. And Tennessee over 8.5 plus 130. I think Houston is much better than those teams. I'm getting the same win-loss number as those other two teams. I'm taking half a unit on Houston at plus 130 and a full unit on over 8.5 to the minus 140. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I'm not sold on Bill O'Brien as a head coach. I'm not sure Deshaun Watson or the rest of that team can remain healthy. I took a flyer on Jacksonville plus 425 about 3 weeks ago. I said, you know what? This Jacksonville defense, I believe, is still a top 5 defense in the NFL. And they just flat system. Now, I'm not saying Nick's going to go out and win a Super Bowl with them. But that being said, I do think he is more capable, more quarterback-minded, and is going to make less mistakes, which you could tell last year after they beat the Patriots. It just started to unravel because their defense is on the field the entire time. Blake throws a pick. They're back on the field. I mean, just stuff that would infuriate you if you were on the defensive side of that team. So I think that they're going to be rejuvenated this year. So I thought at 425 it was worth the bet. Now that bet's cut in half, maybe not. But you're right. I do think it is going to be head-to-head with Houston and Jacksonville in that division.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this a little later, but I'm not high on Jacksonville, but I am actually high on Tennessee. AFC, we'll talk later, Kel. We'll talk later, but can you do that again? So it was a lean back and arm.
Oh.
There you go. AFC West, Kansas City, LA Chargers, Denver, and Oakland. This is a 2-team race, and 2 teams that I think both the Chargers and Kansas City are going to the playoffs. We're going to talk in depth about Kansas City and LA later, but I'm telling you, Kelly, I think the Chargers are a more complete team than Kansas City. Kansas City's got an offense like we haven't seen since the Greatest Show on Turf, led by Kurt Warner. I think they're going to be impossible to stop, but I'll tell you flat out, they're going to really struggle to stop anybody else as well. Their defense is a total disaster. I think from a value perspective, I'm going to take a half unit on the Chargers to win that division at plus 190. And I'm going to take a full unit on Kansas City to win over 10.5 games. Why the difference? Because I think that Kansas City will win over 10.5 games, but I also think the Chargers have a good shot to win over 10.5 games too. The Chargers, too much chalk on their over and under for me. So I actually like the Chargers at plus 190 to win the division for a half a unit. And I like Kansas City for a full unit to win over 10.5 games. What do you think?
I agree with everything you just said. I wanted to see if there was an updated news on Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, calm down. You're not Le'Veon Bell or really even maybe a top 10 running back in the league. But that being said, he was causing a lot of drama in that for that team. And I'm going, I don't know if I want to make a bet on the Chargers just yet, but I agree with what you're saying. Listen, the Chargers probably are the more complete team in that division. Last year, I lost a lot of money betting against Kansas City, saying they were overvalued each and every week. And it was not fun. I will say that. I had to eat some crow on that one. But Kansas City is going to be good again. I think Patrick Mahomes might see a little bit of regression And not in a bad way, just knowing that the defensive coordinators have now an entire year of tape on him. I still think he's one of the more athletic quarterbacks. He makes great decisions, but you're right. Kansas City's defense, while they did fire their defensive coordinator after that AFC game, they're still going to struggle.
Oh, I think their defense has gotten worse. But Kel, you talk about Melvin Gordon, and I think he's a better back than you. I do think he's a top 10 running back, but when push comes to shove, they're in a division where Kareem Hunt is not the running back for Kansas City anymore. I don't think Kansas City has any better a running game than the LA Chargers. And actually, I'd flip it around and say that Joseph and the Chargers running game is probably better than Kansas City's. So, we'll talk about it towards the end of the show, but I think the LA Chargers might be one of the most well-rounded teams in football. Guys, we're going to take a 30-second commercial break, and then we're right back to talk about the NFC. Hey guys, it's the Prez. Thanks so much for watching this show. It means the world to me. Kelly and I, this show is dear to both of us. We want it to remain the number one watched show on YouTube in the space that we are in. We definitely want it to beat Marco and VR's show, Bet on It, but we are cheering for them. Quick promotion for you all. Man, this is my sport, guys. I've won 18 out of 20 seasons. I'm super streaky, I admit it. I'm going to go through some 2-8 runs over a 2-week period, and I'm going to go through some 16-4 runs over a 4 or 5 week period. You got to play my entire season start to finish. And I got a promo for all of you. The regular price is $7.95. You guys can have it for $4.99. Just head over to wagertalk.com. Use the promo code NFL499. That's NFL499. You get my entire NFL season and playoffs for $499, and I guarantee you I will turn a profit on that. Kel, NFC East. Very similar type of division to the AFC West. 2-team race, Philadelphia and Dallas. I don't see Washington and the New York Giants doing anything at all. I got a few bets I'm making here. What do you like?
Yeah, Prez, I'm not high on the Dallas Cowboys this year. This is my problem with this Cowboys team. We just spoke about Melvin Gordon and maybe some egos in the locker room. Now you have that ×3 in Dallas. While Amari Cooper's not being talked about as much, he wants to get paid too. So I even, Jerry Jones is in pressers going, wait, Zeke who? And it makes it. And of course, he would love to have Amari Cooper, but you can't afford all three. So Dallas has got some issues there. I'm not saying Dallas is going to win under 9 games, so I'm not touching it there. But I do think Philly is the more complete team. I do think Carson Wentz is the much better quarterback. I do have concerns with his health, as we do every single year with him. And that does make me nervous. But I think Philadelphia is going to be right back in it. And during the playoffs and NFC East, it's a force to reckon with.
Listen, this is a gambling show, and we're going to talk gambling. We'll let the talking heads on ESPN and Fox Sports and all of the Jim Rome and all, Alan Shine and whoever talk about whether Zeke should or shouldn't be holding out. I just really quick, my 2 cents. I think the running backs get a very raw deal on the entry-level contracts that the Players Association and the NFL agreed to. I actually think it's unfair. These running backs have a 3-year average lifespan. The top running backs like Zeke, Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell are at their best in their first 5 years, and they're playing on an entry-level contract. It's really crappy for them. And I feel for them. With that said, Zeke, get your ass onto the turf. Kel, look, Philadelphia is definitely the class of that division, and I agree with you, but they have weaknesses as well. I don't think they have a great cover game, and I don't think they have a great running game. It will be interesting to see how Howard does. They're going to have a backfield by committee, and they're going to come and go based on Carson Wentz, and that man is injury prone. I'm only going to take a couple of bets in this division, and both are a half unit bet. I'm going to take Philadelphia over 9.5 at minus 165. I understand there's a ton of juice there, but I agree with you on Dallas. I am not sold on this team. I mean, Michael Gallup is your second best running back. Jason Witten is your starting tight end coming out of the broadcasting booth. I don't even... Pollard, I think, is their running back. I don't believe in Dak at all, but I will tell you this. They got the best D in that division. I think a half unit on Philadelphia winning over 9.5 seems like a reasonable bet to me. And I lean, almost a quarter unit, if you will, on the Giants under 6.5. I think the Giants, like Cincinnati, Miami, Arizona, are really going to struggle to find wins. I think the Giants are going to struggle to get 1 or 2 wins inside of their division. I think they'll probably split with Washington, and that might be about it. NFC East is tough.
Yeah, they are. But you know what? You just mentioned the Giants, and just like I talked about with the Bengals earlier, I think the Giants are going to be severely undervalued this year in the betting space. I already played them +7 week 1 versus Dallas. All right, let's move to one of my favorite divisions in all of the NFL, the NFC North. At the top, Green Bay's right behind, Minnesota's right behind them, and then there's Johnny Detroit's Lions.
You know, Kel, they talk about this division like it's the hardest division in football. Look, if 4 teams were really crap and they were all in the same division, would that make it the hardest division in football? It might make it the hardest division to win in football because you have 4 crappy teams, but it's certainly not the strongest division in football. I think you're looking at 4 mediocre football teams. Okay, not mediocre. I think we have a chance. 2 of them are going to make the playoffs, but the Super Bowl will not have a team from the NFC North. That I can assure you.
I'll agree with you on that.
I think Chicago, Green Bay, and Minnesota are all better than average teams. I think they are all good teams. I think none of them are great. They all have weaknesses. I don't believe in Chicago's offense. I think they don't have a great wide receiving core. I think they don't have a great quarterback yet. I think their running game is probably the best part, but I don't think it's world class. I'm already seeing, remember last year how many people beat me up about my lack of love for the Bears?
I remember how many people beat us up for every team that we don't like. You'll have to remember this. We're betting numbers, not teams.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal because we don't like your team.
I'm cheering for the Bears. I love the Bears. The Bears are my team. They were my team growing up.
Bears hat.
So stop bothering me. I'm just telling you the facts. And the facts is Chicago is not as good as everybody thinks. And even on defense, Kelly, this team does not have a good cover D at all. I do not think Chicago is as good as everybody does. And then you go to Green Bay, struggling at wide receiver, struggling at running back. They don't have any edge rushers at all. They're going to struggle to get to the quarterback. But they have Aaron Rodgers. I think they're as good as Chicago. I think both of them are 9-win teams. And then you have Minnesota. And I think this is where the bet lies, Kelly. Minnesota to win the division is plus 210. I think Minnesota has the best coach in that division by far.
Yes,
I think Kirk Cousins in his second year, more comfortable with his teammates in the offense, will have a much better season. I think Minnesota's running game is definitely as good as Chicago's and for sure better than Green Bay. I think Minnesota has not one, Kelly, but 2 wide receivers that are better than any wide receivers on Green Bay or Chicago. And I think Minnesota's defense, albeit missing out the names like Khalil Mack, is going to be really tough to play against. I think every player on that defense is good. I see no weaknesses. Minnesota is plus 210 to win the division. Their over and under is 9.5 to the plus money at 125. I'm laying a half unit on both of those. Minnesota is my team in the NFC North.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I like when we agree, Prez. It doesn't happen very often, but I'm really high on this Minnesota team. And while Kirk Cousins does worry me at times with his decision making, I do think that this O-line is improved, that Minnesota is going to be the team that comes out of the NFC North. All right.
Wait,
for the division,
we got to talk about Detroit. So we spoke about Chicago, Green Bay, and Minnie. Detroit is plus 1,200 to win the NFC North. And Kelly, I'm making a half-unit play on that. Here's the bottom line. I know they're Detroit. I get it. Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
Stop it. They've got a good running game. They've got a good defense. It's plus 1,200, Kelly. I am not.
Prez, I wouldn't even put $100 on this. This is like,
I'm the Prez. I'm going to put at least 10 grand on it. I don't sleep on the Lions, crazy. Kelly. I think this team's going to be better than most people think. But look, I think every team in that division is going to likely split against each other inside of the division, which will probably leave room for the Atlanta Falcons to sneak into the wild card spot. But we're going to get there next. Yeah, I know, Kel. NFC South, what do you think?
I hate this division. You know why? This is the hardest division for me each and every single year. You have three teams that, like, let's just start off with the Saints. The Saints always seem to go 0-2 out of the gate, especially against the number. I'm looking at the Saints team going, okay, this is what happened last year. Try to forget some of it. They're going to play with a chip on their shoulder. But are they? Drew Brees is another year older. Then you flip to Atlanta, Matt Ryan. Last year, they started off the season so piss poor at Philadelphia, and it just didn't get much better. Then you have Carolina, Cam Newton.
Who knows?
Half the people love Cam, half the people hate Cam, but they have Christian McCaffrey, and that's exactly right. Who knows what you're going to get with this Carolina Panthers team? I've been trying to read up on them. I've been trying to read local stuff. I have a buddy who actually covers them. I'm texting him, and he's not even giving. And then you have Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay, and I'm going, good God, what a disaster.
Yeah, this is a tough division all around for me. Look, last year I was very high on the Atlanta Falcons. They had so many injuries on defense. They just couldn't get it going. But, their defense is fully healthy this year. And I grant you, they are not a top 10 defense by any stretch. But definitely nor is New Orleans' defense. And although I think Carolina might have the best defense in the division, I don't think their defense is a top 10 defense either. And Tampa Bay doesn't even have a defense. So, I'm looking at this division and I'm saying
they have a defense.
No, they actually don't. They're not allowed. They send one guy out. That's it. Just one guy. He stands like middle linebacker. Kel, Atlanta plus 375 to win the division seems like a really good bet to me. New Orleans is minus 180. I think New Orleans is going to regress. I don't see Drew Brees. He's going to be playing a lot of short throws to Kamara, to Thomas. I don't think they're going to be able to stretch the field. I think his arm is definitely on the backside of 70, let alone 40. But he's a very, very smart quarterback. But I think New Orleans has regressed. And I think Atlanta, Kelly, let's just look at this team. They got Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Maybe the best 1-2 wide receiving tandem in the league. They got Freeman coming out of the backfield, top 10 running back, and a beast of a running back. They've got Matt Ryan. I don't care what you people think. Matt Ryan is a top 10 quarterback, maybe a top 5 quarterback. He is a gunslinger. Their offensive line is pretty good. Defensive-wise, they don't have a superstar. Deion Jones is really good, but the whole team on a whole will be good enough defensively. Man, I'll tell you, I'm going right back to last year. I like Atlanta plus 375, and I like the over 8.5 at minus 105. Those are the two bets I am making in the NFC South. One more, girl. NFC West. Rams, Seattle, San Fran, and Arizona.
Punishment.
What do you like?
I'm just laughing.
Why? Tell me.
This is.
Want to see a bicep pump?
Bicep
chest pump?
I need to go to the gym. It's been a couple days.
Hulk Hogan maneuver?
No. Do you even know what this is?
This is the Hulk Hogan.
Dab. Oh. It's not the dab.
Oh, I'm too old for the dab. I'm going back to the 80s for the Hogan.
There you go. That is very true. You are too old. Look how great Silver Fox you're getting.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Okay, so NFC West, last division. Super Bowl losers with the Rams, Seattle, San Fran, I think is kind of the question mark here. And then you mentioned it earlier, lowly Arizona plus 2,500. See, if you want to take a flyer on a team, why not take a flyer on Arizona?
Yeah, because a flyer is literally what it is. Me taking my money, turning it into a paper airplane, throwing it in the air and letting it fly away. What the hell is Arizona going to do? This Rams team is a beast.
They are a beast. But how many times have we seen a team that loses the Super Bowl and it just the next year they're just deflated?
let me respond to that. We do see that a lot. We do see that a lot. But we also see that with
the Panthers, we saw it with the Falcons.
Kelly, we see that a lot with teams that are a little more veteran-like. This is a young team. They're at the start of their prime. They have a young coach. He's incredible. I know they're talking about Todd Gurley, slightly banged up, not going to get the...
He's hurt.
He's going to be unbelievable. Me and you are in a fantasy league together. My first pick at 10th spot was Todd Gurley.
I was gonna wait to talk about that until part 2.
You could talk about it now.
We're going to talk about it now? Okay, perfect. So Prez and I only do one fantasy league a year, and it's Johnny Detroit's Big Money Fantasy League. I'm all in on it. And 2 weeks ago, Prez starts this massive email chain that makes me want to jump off the top of the Bellagio into the fountain's head first. We decided we're going to do this Wager Talk family fantasy league. And before anybody's even drafted, Prez and I are head-to-head. Got a $500 side bet.
We do.
Just for fun. And yeah, Prez gets Todd Gurley 10th, and he's excited about it. I think Gurley's going to be hurt for a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited about my whole team, Kel. I got Jared Goff at quarterback.
What draft gate?
What
grade did you get?
I got Kelsey at tight end. I'm liking my whole team. Kel.
CBS gave me an A-. I was pretty happy about my team.
Yeah, CBS gave me a D+. I'm only making 2 bets in this division. I'm taking the Rams over 10.5 at plus 115, and I'm taking Seattle under 8.5 at plus 100. I think Seattle's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I hope Seattle's a disaster because I already bet against them week 1. Okay, are you doing another commercial or are we going into part 2?
We're going into a commercial break, and then we're getting into, well, you know what? Part 2 is, we'll get into part 2. We'll go into a quick commercial break. Hey guys, long story short, thanks for watching. We're going to try keep these shows under an hour. The first one will likely not be, but it is our NFL preview show, so there's lots to talk about. Really quick, I gave out a promo on our last commercial for my NFL package at $499, promo code NFL499. The exact promotion exists for Dwayne Bryant. You can get $300 off of his NFL season and playoffs using the promo code NFL499. And Dwayne's NFL totals are right up there with Brian Leonard's baseball, Dave Koken's college football, Carmine Bianco's NHL, Hakeem Prophet's WNBA. It is literally must bet. He's a very low volume player, but I'm telling you guys, there is literally nobody on this planet better at NFL totals than Dwayne Bryant. He's also amazing at his sides as well, but his NFL totals are his most famous bets. So head over to wagertalk.com, use the promo code NFL499 for either my or Dwayne Bryant's NFL season and playoffs. Kel, part 2, who's going to win the conferences? You have any quick opinions?
I mentioned out of the AFC, I thought that I would take a chance here with the Steelers. I bet their season win total over. I bet them to win the AFC North, and I think they are going to be the team that represents the AFC in the Super Bowl. They are a team I'm really high on this year. The Steelers. Marco D'Angelo would be really proud of me.
Well, I don't care about Marco D'Angelo, but don't sleep on Marco D'Angelo and VR's show. Sleep through it, but not on it. Just remember, folks, 2 NFL shows done at Wager Talk this year. Mine and Kelly's, the NFL Presidential Address, a perfect show to start your day with. And Marco, VR, and Kelly, a show called Bet On It, a perfect show to end your day with. Ours will be fun. Theirs will be statistics, just a whole lot of statistics.
Statistically. You know me, Miss Statistics. Okay, so you mentioned how high you were on the Rams. So, no, I'm sorry, the Chargers earlier. You mentioned how high you were on the Chargers earlier. So do you think that there's...
Yeah, look, the Chargers are plus 700 to win the conference, and I think that's the best bet on the board. I am playing a half unit on them, but I'm also playing a half unit on Houston at plus 1,100 and a half unit on Baltimore plus 1,600. Plus 1,600, Kel. I don't think the New England Patriots are going to the Super Bowl this year. I don't think Kansas City's defense is good enough to get them to the Super Bowl. So let's take those 2 teams out of the equation. I think that literally only leaves the LA Chargers and Houston. Me and you do not agree on Pittsburgh, and that's okay. But I think Baltimore, I think Lamar Jackson could have a big season. I think their wide receiver core is better than everyone expects. Same with their running game. And I think their defense is going to be, like always, rock solid. Baltimore plus 1,600, Houston plus 1,100, and the Chargers at plus 700 are the 3 bets I'm looking to make.
What do you... My Denver Broncos and Joe Flacco this year.
Oh, Denver's in this league?
I don't know what to make of this team.
Well, we'll talk about it in the last segment. NFC. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll go to yours after. Look, I think the best, I think the Rams at plus 350 is the right bet to make. I'm not going to make it. I'd like a little bit more. If I'm going to tie up my money for a whole year, and if I'm going to take the Rams over the field, if you will, I need more than plus 350. I'm only going to make one bet here, Kel. I'm going to take Atlanta at plus 1,600 again. I think they have an incredible offense, and I think their defense is good enough. I don't see New Orleans making it. I see none of Green Bay, Chicago, or Minnesota making it. I think it's going to be between the Rams and Philadelphia, and I think Atlanta will have an opening maybe to sneak through. And at plus 1,600, those are my kind of numbers.
Prez, I think we need another side bet. Can I get a team out of the NFC North and you can get Atlanta?
No.
Okay. All right. And then last but not least, you're going to take a little bit, you have an opinion on Carolina and the NFC?
Look, they're plus 2,500. And, we spoke briefly about Carolina earlier in the show. Kelly, this team could be the best team in football or the worst team in football or anywhere in between. How's Greg Olsen going to do down the middle? Is he going to open up the lanes for the speedy wide receivers they have? What's Cam Newton going to do? They got the most electrifying player in all of football in McCaffrey coming out of the backfield, both running and catching the ball. They've got a good D, a great front seven. They're well coached on defense. At plus 2,500, I think there's a little bit of value there. This Carolina team, I can't make heads or tails of it, but I do know one thing. At their best, they're really good. Okay, that's fair. All right, so we're moving on to part 3. Yeah, this is the most important section of the show, Kel. Like I said to you, I'm not going to spend a lot of my time going over systems and trends. I really don't care about how many road dogs have covered after a win
I love
the week
those
before.
Trends.
What?
I said I just love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know you love that kind of stuff. It's why you and Ralph spoon about NFL, but...
spoon about NFL?
Yeah, you have an NFL spoonage going on.
I like TNA. What do you want from me, Prez?
Hey, listen. I know you like that stuff. I know Marco likes that stuff. I know all the handicappers like that stuff. I don't. I
know you don't.
Honestly don't care what happened 10 years ago. I don't care what happened 5 years ago. If a team has completely changed their stripes, like, for instance, the New York Jets, I don't care what happened last year.
True. I listen, I understand that there's sample sizes and certain things matter and other things don't. But I do think you're right. If the team is still complete and there's still the same head coach, you can use things and also some of the trends about divisional dogs I like as well.
Yeah, look, I'm not throwing all trends and systems out. There are a few that I do like, and I will be mentioning them throughout the year. But I mean, for me, it's about drive charts. It's about the style that a team plays. It's about the individual matchups, the front four, the O-line against the D-line, the cover team against the wide receivers, how much time a quarterback's going to have in the pocket. Those are the things that mean a lot to me. So guys, yeah, if you're like Kelly and you are really into statistics, bet on it by Marco and VR. If you want to have some fun, have a good laugh, listen to me tell you that a team won't cover like a thong on Nicki Minaj or a team won't cover like dental floss on Kelly Stewart, I'm your show. What, Kel?
You're a mess. All right, part 3. What teams or how you're betting on each and every single team?
Yeah, so we're going to keep the show to under an hour regularly. This show will likely be over an hour. But Kelly has the time today, and I'm going to take it.
Somehow I do. But we're going to get yelled at by the YouTube police.
Yeah, whatever.
So
let's race through it then, Kel. Right, New York Jets. Bottom line for me is I look at this team as an over team. I think they're going to be a very high-scoring football team. I think with Bell running and especially catching the ball out of the backfield, I think that's going to be really key, and I think that's going to open up. I mean, the defenses are going to have to play at least a front seven with maybe a cheating safety because I think the Jets are going to run the ball a lot. I think that's going to open up Robbie Anderson and the passing game. I think we're going to see Darnold throw the ball deep many times this year. I think you're going to have a short game with Bell, and I think you're going to have a long game with Darnold throwing the ball. I think they will throw the ball on intermediate routes very little. I think it's going to be one of those long or short type of plays that they're going to call. And I think their defense is pretty good. They're going to be really hard to run against. Kel Leonard, Williams, now CJ. This team is going to be tough to run against. I see their weakness being on pass defense. So as a result, I'm going to be looking to take this team over the total. And I do expect them to blow out a few teams, Kel, this year. For instance, Miami.
Yeah. Listen, I think that I'm going to be looking to bet against this team laying points most of the time. As an underdog, I think this team's going to have some moments, probably against the Pats. I'll be betting on this team, maybe within the division against the Bills. At Miami, I'll probably be taking the points at home with Miami against this Jets team. But this is a Jets team that's a little bit still unknown. You mentioned that you're a little bit higher on them than I am. I'm not sold on Darnold, and I'm definitely not sold on Bell. But maybe that's just because he ruined my fantasy team last year, and I just haven't.
I'm not really that high on the Jets, Kelly. I just think they're going to be a high-scoring team, and I'm going to look to play a lot of overs with them. New England, I think New England is the opposite, Kel. I think this is the best running ensemble that they've had in a while. I think Burkhead's going to make it interesting too, coming out of the backfield with White. I think Sony Michael's going to run the ball a lot. I think we're going to see Michael to me. I think we're going to see a slow-moving offense by New England. I don't think you're going to see a lot of big plays. No Gronk. Edelman's going to play in the slot. I think this team is going to play to the under, Kelly, and I think a lot of their games are going to be much closer than normal. I think they're going to get it done. But, man, if I can get, teams at plus 8, 9, 12 against New England, if I can get numbers in the high 40s.
So, week one, 6 was with the Steelers. Do you think, this is what I'm looking at for week to week against Patriots. We know the Patriots are a favorite in all but one game next year.
Yeah, we'll talk about week 1 on our next week's show because, my God, the show could end up being 2 hours long. Okay. I'm looking to play New England. I'm looking to play New England on the under, and I'm looking to play against New England in a lot of spots this year. Miami, I got no words. The bottom line for me,
your notes say that they're the worst team in the league. I'm looking at your notes right now. I'm going, they're not the worst team in the league.
I think they're within the top 3 worst teams in the league. I think their defense might be the worst in the league. They have no running backs. Their wide receiver core is not world class, to say the least. I don't know what's going to happen at their QB position, and I honestly think they're going to tank. So I expect this team to be under, but barely. I will likely.
You think they got Josh Rosen to tank?
Kelly, I think this team is just a disaster. I think they're going to play to the under, but barely, and I expect them to be blown out a lot of games. With all that said, I do not expect to be playing on many games involving the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, the Bills.
Yeah, this is an interesting team, Kelly. They got a brand new O-line, and boy, do they look good on paper. This offensive line could end up being top 5 in the league. They got a good running game. It's a running game by ensemble, but McCoy does lead the way, and I think he could have a pretty big season. Their wide receivers are super fast. There could be a lot of space created for the inside game. They don't have any pass rushers, but they are really good at stopping the run. Kelly, this team is an under team from start to finish. I'll be looking to bet them under the total all year long, and I like them as a big dog. I think they're going to keep a lot of games real close. I think the Bills might even have an outside shot at sneaking into the playoffs.
I'm not sure they're going to be a big dog anywhere other than in New England, and that's probably, you're right, about 7.5, 8, depending on how the games played out before that. But yeah, I like this Bills team as well. Let's move to the AFC West. San Diego.
My God, unbelievable wide receiver core, really good tight end, great running game even without Gordon. One of the most competitive quarterbacks this league has ever seen. They got a killer O-line. They've got maybe the 2 best edge rushers in football as a combination in Bosa and Ingram. They've now added Nwosu and Jones, plus. Their defense is ridiculous. I lean on them being an under team, but I'm likely going to stay away from a lot of totals in the San Diego game. I'm going to bet them at any time they're a dog over 3, I'm taking them. I don't think that's going to happen a lot, but I think I'm going to be betting on San Diego a lot this year.
I just still love that we call them San Diego.
Yeah. Why do I keep calling them San Diego? Well, because I'm old
that's
school.
What I called them. Yes. It's just like the reason why you do the Hulk Hogan or whatever you were doing. Yeah, that. Oh, my God. Okay, so Kansas City, you mentioned that their defense is just
horrific,
terrible. And I do think it's going to be better than it was last year, but I do think it's going to
I
take
don't know,
time.
man. I mean, Houston was so important to their defense, and he's gone now. And I understand they picked up Clark, but, you know, I mean, they got Chris Jones is a beast. I think he's going to get 12 to 14 sacks. I think Clark will help, but I don't think they have a good cover game. I don't think they have a good linebacking core. I think they're going to be really struggle against the run, which I think is where teams are going to keep their offense off the field. But their offense is ridiculous. A best tight end in football, fastest deep threat in football. Mahomes could be one of the greatest of all time if he can continue what he did last year. I think Kansas City is an over team by far. I think them and New Orleans are going to play to the over all the time. I know we're going to see big numbers, 51 to 58. But I think Kansas City is going to score at will, and I think they're going to absolutely struggle to stop the run. I'm gonna look to play against Kansas City when they're playing run-heavy teams. I think Pittsburgh is going to be a tough team for them to play against. I think the LA Chargers are going to be a tough team to play against. I think the Jets are going to be a tough team for them to play against. Baltimore,
the Bears in December.
Denver, yeah. I'm not as high on Kansas City as everybody is. And we were just talking about Denver. Fangio's as good as it gets on D for his schemes. They got Miller and Chubb. The problem, their linebackers are bad. They're going to struggle on offense as well.
Their linebackers are bad. Hello, they have one of the best linebackers in the league, and Von Miller.
Von Miller's like one of those phony linebackers. I'm looking at it. He's an edge rusher. So if you actually watch Denver play, Von Miller is standing in the front. He's an edge rusher. True. Same with Chubb. I grant you that he might have an LB next to his name, but he's a defensive lineman.
His defensive lineman. I'll let him know that.
Please. Kelly, they have no offensive line. They have no wide receivers. I don't know what to make.
They have Dalton Reisner as he's going to be the starting center this year. I think it's going to help that O-line. I am going to say this. I think the Denver is going to be Flacco. Yeah. You think he's washed up?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I think he's washed up twice.
Washed up twice.
Yeah. This team is going to play to the under all year. That's where I'm looking, and I expect them to get blown out of games. What do you think of the Raiders, Kel?
I don't know what to make of the Raiders. I talk about a lot of things. You make fun of us about statistics and things like that, but I'm not a really big statistical person. I'm more of a situational. So I'm going to look to play against the Raiders in certain situations. This Raiders team worries me, really. I don't think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I think Antonio Brown is just too big for his britches. Then he goes and burns his feet in whatever that cryo chamber thing is that he was in. And then he doesn't want to wear his helmet. And it's just causing off-the-field drama on the field. And half the team's going to get sick of it. I don't know. I'm not sold on their defense. I'm not sold on Gruden. This is just a team that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could they win 7 games? Sure, they could win 7 games. But are they going to? I highly doubt it.
So my take on the Raiders is I won't be playing on many of their games at all. I think this team is very bad. They got no edge rushers. They're going to struggle on defense. Brown and Williams, they want the ball deep. Carr is not a deep passer. He's a seam thrower. I don't understand why they picked up Brown in the first place. Carr's got no patience in the pocket. He's going to need it to find Antonio Brown. Their O-line's not great. I think this is a team that is going to go under 1 week and over the next. You will not see me betting a lot on them. Pittsburgh in the AFC North, 40 points one game, 10 points the other. What else is new? They're the most inconsistent offense in the history of football, and I don't think that's going to change. Look, I like their running game. I like their wide receiving game. I think Vance is going to be a beast at tight end. The bottom line with Big Ben is which Big Ben is going to show up at what week. I think this team is going to play to the over. I don't believe in their defense. I'm going to be looking to play totals with this team over the total most of the time. But I do not see myself being in a lot of sides with them because, well, they're just too damn inconsistent.
I agree with the inconsistency against the spread, and I agree with you. And some of the mentions that you mentioned, they have a good defense. You're playing a little bit different this year. Everything I'm hearing out of Pittsburgh is very positive, which is not what we heard last year. So I think this is not necessarily his last year, but one playing Pittsburgh in a ton of games. As I mentioned, I have their season win total over. So I've already Prez, I'm not looking to lay big numbers here with
Kel,
this
we
team.
got to get moving. Cleveland, no real weaknesses on this team, maybe except at left tackle, which is super important. But they got a great running game. They got ridiculous wide receivers. I think their tight end is going to have a big year. I think this is an over team, Kel. I know their defense is so good, but where they're weak is is in their coverage game. I think teams will be able to get to their corners and safeties. I think they'll be in every game, Kel. I think they're going to be overvalued. So I don't know if I'm going to jump on Cleveland. in as a side, but I am looking to play them over the total in most games they are in. Cincinnati, and then I'll throw to you. I don't know what to do about this team. I think they're going to get blown out a ton, and I'm looking to play them over the total in a lot of their games.
Yeah, Cleveland, you mentioned overhyped. I'm not laying points with this Cleveland team at any point in time this year. Doesn't mean I'm taking the points against them, but I'm just, if you're laying over 7, I'm not taking it with Cleveland.
Yeah.
I just can't trust them. I do think Baker is great, but I think there's a lot of egos in that locker room, and that concerns me come mid-season, that there might be, some drama. Cincinnati, I mentioned I'm already playing them week 1 versus Seattle. I'm going to take them a week-by-week basis and say.
Kel, Baltimore, they had the best defense in the AFC last year. They've lost a lot of guys, but they have the best defense in the AFC almost every year, regardless of who is starting for them. I think their defense is going to be good. I think they're going to be really hard to run against. I think their read option offense is going to be interesting to watch, but I think it's going to be a slow-moving offense. Bottom line for me is I'm going to be looking to play Baltimore games under the total, and I'm going to be looking to take Baltimore as a dog just about every time they are one.
I can see that. I'm higher on Baltimore than some. I have my concerns about Lamar Jackson and what we saw last year against the Chargers. Hopefully that does not come to fruition this year and you win your Baltimore bets. Okay, let's move to the AFC South. We'll start with Houston. I know you're very high on Houston. Me,
yeah,
not
this
so
team
much.
is loaded, Kel. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be really good. Look, he has accuracy issues. I get it, but the guy's extremely mobile and he can throw the ball long. He's got a ridiculous deep threat in DeAndre Hopkins. He's got a great slot receiver in Fuller. I think their running game will be just fine even without Lamar Miller. Their O-line needs to be better. Their front 4 on defense is insane. Their front 7 is top 5 in football. Their weakness period is on coverage D. I like them in every single game, Kel. I don't know what to do about the total. I think they're going to be an over team one week and an under team the other. I could easily see them 8-8 to the over at the end of the year. But I will be looking to bet Houston as a dog in many of their games, including their first one next week against New Orleans.
Yeah, Prez, because we're going to move along to Tennessee, and I want to play them against Cleveland week 1. And now that you're high on them, I'm sitting here looking at I should not make that bet just yet. I do think money is going to come in Cleveland. But tell me why you're so high on Tennessee.
Yeah, so, the bottom line with Tennessee is, listen, Henry could be one of the best backs in the league. The guy is a bruising force. The Jerome Bettis of this era. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I also think they have good wide receivers, Kel. Obviously, I think the team, it's going to come down to Mariota. Their defense is really, really good. Brown as a linebacker is really underrated. I think their whole defense is going to be a top 7, top 10 defense in the league. But I think what we're going to see with Tennessee, whether it's Mariota on the read option running the ball, or Henry running the ball, or Dion Lewis catching short passes out of the backfield, I think this is going to be the slowest moving team in all of football. And as a result, they are going to play to the under, and they are going to keep every single game close. Tennessee will not get blown out this year. I expect every single game to be close to within a 7-point margin. This team is going to be a tough out. I look to play them as a dog, and I look to play them under the total.
So are you playing them week
Likely.
1? Okay. Jacksonville, this is the team I'm really high on. Prez, not so much.
You know what? I don't believe in Nick Foles.
Earlier.
I think we've seen him play some good games when he comes in as a backup, and teams haven't prepared for him. But he had his shot in LA and he didn't make it. I don't believe in their running game. I think Fournette is injury prone. I think he'll be out in week 3. I do believe in their defense. They have no wide receivers. I am looking to play Jacksonville under the total. They are one of my top under teams of the year. That's what I'm doing with Jacksonville. And as far as Indianapolis goes, I won't be touching them at all.
I think that's a smart move, at least until further notice and what we see, what we're going to get from Jacoby Brissett. Okay, NFC East. The Reds. I don't know what to make of this team, especially unless we know when Haskins is going to start and how well he's going to do.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that well. I'm not telling you he's going to have a bad career, but I think Washington is in tough this year. I think he'll struggle. I think this team has a bad offensive line. I think their receivers, their outside receivers, might be the worst outside receivers in all of football. I think whoever plays quarterback literally has two options, Reed or Davis. Davis is 75 years old. They're going to be running the ball a lot, and they're going to be throwing to the tight end a lot. As for their defense, I think they got a strong front seven and a really solid linebacking core. They're lacking edge rushers, but I think they're going to be really hard to run against. I expect the Redskins to be blown out in a bunch of games, so I will be looking for some big I'll be looking for teams that are laying a lot against them, but I also think they're going to play to the under a ton. As for the Eagles, Wentz or bust. I love their pickup of Deshaun Jackson. They got themselves a nice deep threat to open up the middle. They've got a ridiculous wide receiving core. I think with Howard and Miles in the backfield, I think you've got a nice 1-2 punch coming out of the backfield. As far as D, Kelly, look, Fletcher Cox is an animal. I think their defense is mediocre at best. I think this team is going to play to the over. I'm going to be waiting to see what happens with their offense as far as sidewise goes, but I am looking to play a lot of Eagles games over the total. Any thoughts on Washington or Philadelphia?
On Washington, I think it's a stay away for me, at least in the end term, till I kind of see what's going to be happening, at least between which one of the three guys is going to be the starting quarterback for them. And you mentioned with the Eagles, same thing I said with Wentz. It's Wentz or bust. Giants, though, I'm looking at your notes. I'm a little higher on the Giants than you are. Not much. But
yeah, I mean, look, to me, I don't think I'm going to be playing a lot. The Giants have that sort of Baltimore, Tennessee feel where they're going to play very slow. They're going to keep the games very close. I think this is a one-man team, Barkley, and Barkley. I think he was your draft pick in the first round of our fantasy league.
I didn't mean to. I got stuck on
he was the guy I wanted. I think he was the best pick in the draft. I think he is going to get the ball 50% of the time. He's going to catch. He's going to run. They have the worst wide receiving core in the league, period. Their wide receiving core literally makes Kathy Bates look hot. They have no edge rushers. They can't secure the edge. Manning is going to get messed up. Their D will attack all game. They're going to be hard to run against. This team is an under team, and I will be looking to play them as a big dog because like Tennessee, I think they're going to keep a lot of games super close. And as far as Dallas goes, Kel, I do not believe in Dak Prescott. I do not believe in their wide receiving core. I do not believe in their tight end. I do not believe in their running game without Zeke. But I do believe in their defense. They have a killer linebacking core. Just awesome. And they have a great pass rusher with my namesake in Lawrence. Their whole D is incredible. Top 5 in the league. I'm going to be looking to play under the total in most games that they're in. And I'm going to be looking to take them as a over 4 dog because I think they're going to keep games super close with their defense and their slow-moving offense. But I am not a fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, let's move to the NFC South where you are incredibly high in Atlanta. So we'll start
Best
with
offense in football. Yeah. Better than the Rams. Yeah. Even better than Kansas City. Yep. Better than the New Orleans Saints. What team has Jones, Ridley, Freeman, Hooper is a decent catching tight end, Matt Ryan at quarterback? My God, this team is stacked on offense, and I expect, Kelly, and this is super important, I expect them to have the most plays in football, 15 plus yards or more. I think this offense is going to be very, very fast moving. I think they're going to win games by big margins, and I think they're going to play to the over a lot.
That sounds good to me. I hope I don't listen to your hype too much here. Again, I'm not high on the NFC South. We'll go Saints. They're the favorite in the division. Are they going to be able to rebound from last year? That was kind of a crushing loss.
They had just as bad a loss the year before, and they got back into the playoffs. So I see no reason.
You're right.
I see no reason why they won't rebound. They've got the best offensive line in all of football. They've got a ridiculous passing and catching running back by the same name. They got a good tight end. Their wide receivers are good. Drew Brees is great. I think they're going to rival Atlanta in scoring. I think when those two teams play against each other, we're going to get into the 70s. I think their defense is going to let them down. They have no real pass rush. They're not great stopping the run. This team mirrors Kansas City to a T. They're going to be incredible on offense. They're going to struggle on D. I think they will win games against bad teams by a ton. And so I will be looking to play them as a big favorite. And I'm also looking to play them over the total. Tampa Bay Panthers race through them. Tampa Bay is going to have an aggressive offense. They got a great wide receiving core. Arians loves 4 and 5 wide receivers on the field. So I think ultimately this team is going to come down to whether Winston can actually find his wide receivers or find the other team's defensive backs. As aggressive as their offense is, their defense will be exactly the same. They are going to blitz a ton. I think they're going to be the number one blitzing team in the league, even without proven edge rushers. I'm going to be looking to take Tampa Bay over the total. And as far as the Panthers go,
Listen, I agree with you. I don't know what we're going to see from Cam. I think he is very athletic, but I'm just not sold on him making right decisions, being the quarterback he needs to be. I like Riverboat Ron. He likes to gamble. I like that. From a betting perspective, I'll be on the Panthers a few times this season in select situations, maybe even week 1 against Kansas City. All right, NFC South.
Okay, Kel, I'm going to go through all 4 teams and then throw it to you.
Okay.
Vikings, 2 legitimate number 1 receivers, a talented QB, a good running back, a solid run defense, very good at pass coverage, top 10 or 5 defense in football. I don't know whether they're going to play to the over or to the under, but I am looking to play the Vikings all year long. Green Bay, explosive offense, good wide receiving core. Rodgers, I think, is going to have a monster. Their defense is boom or bust. Like Tampa Bay, I think they're going to blitz a lot, and they're going to blitz without proven edge rushers. I think they're going to be hard to run against. I think they're going to struggle in pass coverage. I think Green Bay is going to be an over football team, and I'm looking to play them as a dog in every game they are a dog, including week 1 against the Bears. Speaking of the Bears, great front 7, awesome edge rushers, mediocre pass defense. They got a good running back, solid wide receiver. They're deep as hell at the tight end position. I don't know what Trubisky's going to give us this year. I do love Nagy and his offensive play calling. I think this team is going to play to the under, and I think they're the 3rd best team in the division. Detroit, like we said at the beginning, they're an interesting team. Hawkinson at tight end, Riddick catching the ball out of the backfield, Jones, Amendola, and Golladay as their wide receivers. I think they're stacked on offense. They also have Johnson coming out of the backfield. Don't sleep on him. Their D, I think, is much improved. I think they're going to be a top 15 D in football. They aren't incredible in any position, but they don't have a lot of really wide open weaknesses. I am a little bit higher on the Lions than most. I'll be looking to take them as a dog of +4 or more in almost every game they play.
I like it. Listen, I'm higher on the Vikings. Probably going to be the team that you give me a side bet with Atlanta. How about I'll take the Vikings, you take Atlanta?
Yeah, we're not going to make any more side bets, so let's move on from that.
You're so boring.
I'll flex for you.
NFC West. Go to the Rams.
Okay, in 2 seasons as a head coach, McVay has won 24 of 32 regular season games, and they have been in the top 2 ranked scoring offenses. I don't think that's going to change. This is a 12-4 football team at the worst. They are loaded. Gurley, Goff, Kupp, Cooks, Woods. Look at that wide receiving core.
I know you were really mad that I took Woods in the...
Yeah, let's move on from that. They got Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is a game changer on defense. I look to take the Rams as a big favorite in a lot of games, and I look to take them over the total. San Francisco, we don't know anything about this Garoppolo cat. 11 starts. You know how many quarterbacks have had 11 great starts, never to be heard of or seen again? I think this guy could be good. I don't know, and he hasn't earned my money yet. I do know they have a weak wide receiving core. They are stacked in their backfield. I'm really high on Tevin Coleman. I took him in our fantasy league, and I'm really high on Kittle. I
thought we weren't talking about fantasy league anymore. Nothing. I'm just talking shit.
I'm really high on Kittle as well. I don't know anything about their defense, Kelly. I'm staying away from San Fran right now. Seattle, they have nobody on defense. They don't have a great running back. I mean, Carson's okay, mediocre. Their defense is not the same. This team is not good. I'm looking to play against Seattle because I think they will be overvalued given that they are Seattle. And I'm looking to play under the total as in a lot of their games. And as for Arizona, you won't see the Prez on any single game that Arizona is involved in.
All right. I like it. That was fun.
Yeah, that's the show, girl. We're going to be taping the NFL Presidential Address every single week on Tuesdays, where we will go through every game on the board. Kelly and I will argue. Kelly and I will laugh. Make sure to tune in every week. We want to keep this show as the top watched handicapping show on YouTube. Guys, thanks so much. Make sure to comment, please. I will respond to everybody. And thanks so much for watching. Kel, you're the best, man.
This was fun, Prez.
Okay, let's call it a show.
All right. I'm off to the gym.